The Selvar fleet arrived like a storm, blotting out the stars. 10,000 warships hovered over Earth, their metallic hulls gleaming under the sun. To them, this was just another conquest, one more weak species to crush under their rule. High General Kor stood on the bridge of his command ship, the Eternal Dominion, watching Earth spin beneath him. He scoffed. One planet. That's all they have. He turned to his officers. Pathetic. The Selvar had conquered hundreds of worlds, each more advanced than this tiny blue sphere. Yet Earth had resisted contact, refused to kneel, and ignored every demand to surrender. That would change today. Begin the invasion, Kor ordered. The sky over Earth turned black as the warships descended. Massive carriers opened their hatches, releasing thousands of drop ships into the atmosphere. Cities trembled under the deafening roar of alien engines. Earth's leaders sent desperate messages. We wish to negotiate. But the Selvar didn't come to talk. They came to conquer. The first strike. In New York, people stared up in horror as Selvar ships blocked out the sun. The first energy blast struck the ground, reducing buildings to rubble. Fire erupted across the city. Chaos, panic, screams. In London, the sky rained plasma as the Selvar wiped out resistance. Tanks and fighter jets tried to fight back, but their weapons barely scratched the enemy hulls. Across the world, the same scene played out. Earth's military was outmatched, outgunned, and outnumbered. Kor watched from above, pleased. Humanity's greatest mistake was thinking they stood a chance. The invasion was too easy, too quiet. The first signs of something wrong. Then something strange happened. The Selvar's communication systems flickered. Their radar feeds turned to static. General, an officer called, frowning at his screen. We are experiencing interference. Kor growled. From where? The officer hesitated. We don't know. Then the ground forces started reporting strange encounters. Sir, entire squads are disappearing. Kor narrowed his eyes. Impossible. No wreckage, no bodies, just gone. In the ruined cities, Selvar soldiers vanished into the shadows. Some screamed before their comms cut out abruptly. Others simply stopped responding. Something was wrong with this planet. Something they hadn't prepared for. Earth fights back. In a bunker deep beneath Washington, D.C., General Carter of Earth's Defense Forces watched the invasion unfold on a dozen screens. His heart pounded, but his mind was calm. He turned to his team. Initiate Project Revenant. Across the planet, hidden defense systems activated. Hacked alien systems shut down. Their weapons malfunctioned. Their war machines turned against them. A Selvar warship hovering over Moscow suddenly lost control. It plunged from the sky, crashing into the streets below. Others soon followed, falling like burning meteors. The invaders realized too late. They weren't fighting just humans. They were fighting Earth itself. Panic spread through the Selvar fleet like a virus. Warships malfunctioned, ground forces lost contact, and entire squads disappeared without a trace. High General Kor slammed his fist on the command table. What is happening down there? An officer, his skin pale with fear, hesitated before responding. Sir, it's like the planet is fighting back. Kor's eyes narrowed. Ridiculous. He turned to his tactical advisor. Deploy the suppression teams. Burn every major city to the ground if needed. I want total control within the hour. A silent battlefield. On the ground, Selvar soldiers advanced through the ruins of New York, expecting nothing but scattered resistance. They were wrong. From the shadows, Earth's hidden forces struck. Guerrilla fighters emerged, using advanced cloaking tech to ambush patrols. Selvar soldiers fell one by one, never seeing their attackers. In Tokyo, drones swooped down, hijacking alien weapons and turning them against their own kind. In Berlin, entire Selvar squads went missing, their bodies later found with bullet holes, but no sign of their killers. Kor's frustration turned to unease. "This isn't possible," he muttered. "Humans don't have this kind of technology." But Earth's defenders weren't the only problem. A planet's wrath. 12 our warships hovering over the Atlantic suddenly lost control. Their engines shut down. Their navigation systems corrupted. Then the ocean rose up. A massive tidal wave swallowed entire fleets, dragging thousands of alien soldiers into the abyss. Lightning storms erupted out of nowhere, striking down drop ships midair. On the ground, earthquakes ripped through the Selvar landing zones. The planet itself seemed to be rejecting the invaders. "Sir," a trembling officer spoke, "our forces are being picked off, one by one. We need tow." A deafening roar cut through the static. Something massive moved beneath the Earth's surface. For the first time in his life, High General Kor felt fear. The Selvar invasion was falling apart. Across Earth, the once mighty alien forces were being hunted, their technology failing, and their fleets vanishing without a trace. High General Kor watched the reports, his claws digging into the metal table. 10,000 ships had come to Earth. Already, thousands were lost. "This is impossible," he growled. "Humans are primitives. They shouldn't be able to fight back like this." An officer hesitated before speaking. "Sir, this isn't just humans. There's something else." Kor's eyes narrowed. "Explain." The officer hesitated. Then, with a shaky hand, he played a recording from a ground squad in Brazil. The screen flickered to life. Selvar soldiers moved cautiously through the ruins of a city, their weapons raised. Then, something moved in the darkness. A blur, a shadow, a whisper of something too fast to see. One by one, the Selvar soldiers screamed and disappeared into the fog. No gunfire, no struggle. Then the video ended. Kor's blood ran cold. What was that? The officer swallowed hard. "We don't know." The mass disappearances. Across the planet, more Selvar squads went missing. In the Amazon rainforest, patrols vanished without a sound. Their armor was found empty, as if their bodies had been plucked away. In the Sahara, a Selvar outpost went silent. When reinforcements arrived, they found no signs of life, only a single message carved into the sand: "Leave." In Siberia, a Selvar fortress was swallowed by the earth itself, sinking into the ground like it had never existed. Kor clenched his fists. This is a trick. Humans are using psychological warfare. But deep down, he knew it was something more. A message from Earth. Then, the Selvar fleet received a transmission. It was not from any human leader. It was not from any Earth military. It was from the planet itself. The message was simple. "You do not belong here." Then the signal cut out. The fear spreads. Panic gripped the Selvar ranks. Entire divisions refused to land. Warships attempted to retreat. Kor knew he was losing control. He slammed his fist on the command console. "I will not be defeated by a single planet." But Earth wasn't just a planet. It was something more. And it was watching them. Kor paced inside the command center of the Eternal Dominion, his mind racing. This wasn't how invasions worked. Planets fell. Civilizations burned. But Earth was different. It wasn't fighting like any other species. It wasn't just resisting. It was hunting them. The fear among his officers was growing. Reports flooded in. Ships disappearing. Soldiers vanishing. Entire bases wiped out without a single explosion. The war had become a nightmare, and no one understood how. A transmission interrupted his thoughts. The face of Commander Vek, one of his most trusted officers, appeared on the screen. His usual arrogance was gone, replaced by sheer terror. "General, we need immediate evacuation. We can't hold this position. They're inside." Kor frowned. "Who's inside?" "The humans." Vek shook his head violently. Behind him, shadows twisted unnaturally, flickering as if something was there, but not there. "No, sir. It's the planet. It's awake." The transmission cut to static. Kor's claws dug into his palms. Enough. No more fear. No more hesitation. All ships, target Earth's surface, he barked. We will burn this world to ash. The order was given. Thousands of plasma cannons aimed at Earth. If they couldn't conquer it, they would destroy it. But before the first shot was fired, something shifted. The stars vanished. Kor's eyes widened as darkness swallowed the fleet. The ships that were once visible blinked out of existence, as if the universe itself had turned against them. Then, for the first time in his long military career, High General Kor heard something he had never expected. A heartbeat. It didn't come from the ship. It didn't come from his own body. It came from the planet below. And it was getting louder. The silence inside the Eternal Dominion was suffocating. The stars were gone. The void had swallowed the fleet whole, leaving nothing but darkness. Kor's officers stared at their consoles in horror. The navigation systems were dead. The scanners showed nothing, not even their own fleet. It was as if the entire armada had been cut off from reality. Then came the heartbeat. Deep, resonant, alive. It pulsed through the ship, rattling the walls, vibrating through their very bones. The fleet was inside something. Kor gritted his teeth. Get me visual. Find out what's happening. The crew scrambled, but every system was failing. Screens flickered. Power flickered. Then, a single display lit up. The image it showed made Kor's blood run cold. The Earth was still there, but it had changed. The continents were shifting. The clouds churned unnaturally. The oceans moved against gravity. And then, eyes opened. Not human eyes. Not alien eyes. Something. Ancient. Colossal. A force beyond comprehension. The crew screamed. Some collapsed, clutching their heads. Others vanished into thin air, their bodies dissolving as if erased from existence. Kor refused to look away. His mind burned, his body trembled, but he forced himself to stare into the abyss. And the abyss stared back. A voice. No, a presence, filled the ship. It wasn't words, but understanding, forced into his mind like a flood. You were warned. Kor clutched his skull, pain searing through him. He had never felt so small. The fleet began to break apart. Ships folded in on themselves, vanishing into the black. Others crashed into each other, pilots screaming as their controls failed. The Excelvar Empire's greatest invasion force was dying. Kor's vision blurred. He fell to his knees, gasping. This wasn't war. This was punishment, and Earth had only just begun. Kor's breath came in ragged gasps. Around him, the bridge of the Eternal Dominion was falling apart. Officers screamed as they vanished into the darkness. Metal groaned, the ship itself warping, as if reality could no longer hold it together. The fleet was gone. The Excelvar's greatest warships had ceased to exist, one by one, swallowed by the presence that now surrounded them. Kor forced himself to stand. His vision swam, but he wasn't done yet. He had spent his life conquering worlds, breaking civilizations. He would not fall without understanding what was happening. He turned to the only remaining officer, a trembling young navigator. Status. The officer's voice shook. G. General, we're not in space anymore. Kor froze. What? The officer gulped and pointed at the main screen. The external cameras were still working, but the view was impossible. They were no longer above Earth. They were inside it. Not beneath the surface, not within its core, but somewhere deeper, a place that shouldn't exist. The screen showed shifting landscapes that defied logic. Mountains floated upside down, rivers ran through the sky, and shadows moved without a source. Then something moved. A shape too large to comprehend, slithering through the distorted space. Not metal, not flesh. Something older than time itself. Kor's mind reeled. He had fought countless enemies, faced entire armadas. But this wasn't a war. This was a judgment. A whisper crawled through the air. It wasn't sound, but a force pressing into their thoughts. You took what was not yours. Kor clenched his jaw. We are conquerors. We are the Xelvar. We take because we are strong. The presence laughed. Not a sound, but a sensation. Cold, mocking, endless. The screen flickered, images flashed. The ruins of past invasions, planets burned by the Xelvar, species erased from history. Earth had seen it all. You thought this world was weak. The heartbeat returned, louder than before. The shadows closed in. The last thing Kor saw was the eyes of the planet itself, staring straight into his soul. Then the void swallowed him whole. Kor felt nothing. No weight, no air, no time. Just an endless void, pressing against his mind like an unseen predator. Was he dead? No. He could still think. He could still fear. Then the voice returned. You wanted to conquer. You wanted to take. Kor's body convulsed. The voice wasn't sound. It was inside him, flooding his mind, twisting his thoughts, showing him everything. He saw the Xelvar Empire, the billions of his kind spread across the stars. He saw their armies, their warships, their history of destruction. He saw their future, and it was empty. The realization struck like a blade. The Xelvar were not conquerors. They were parasites, a disease that Earth had cured. Panic surged through him. He thrashed in the void, but there was nowhere to go. Now you will understand. Light erupted around him. He was back on Earth, but not as himself. His body was gone. His form was scattered, stretched into the soil, the rivers, the winds. He could feel the entire planet. He could feel its rage. And then he heard them. The whispers of countless others. The souls of invaders who had come before him. You are part of us now. Kor screamed, but no sound came. He was no longer Xelvar, no longer a conqueror. He was just another voice in the wind. The invasion of Earth was over, and Earth had won.